This is a brief video that deals with etiquette. I know that you're sufficiently bored of being nagged by me, but I wanted to give students in my classes a picture of how our typical semester goes so they understand what's happening behind the scenes. Now first I got to start out, I love my job. I love helping people. I only got into this coming out of the private sector, working in publishing, and taking a pay cut, by the way, because I like working with people. It was more meaningful for me. I like teaching. And that said, I have some things to say about how a typical semester goes. You can have a fall semester. Here's my August, September, October, November, all kind of laid out for you, no big deal there. But in a typical semester, here are some things that can happen. Here comes John, a student who has a late paper. Even in August or September, I can get John. He wants me to read it right away because his grade is suffering due to late work. You can have cases where students come in and they have a lot of issues, or they haven't been accustomed to getting deadlines or meeting deadlines. And so here's a student who's already behind, and it's just in the beginning of the semester. And then soon after that, you can get Jane, who's a real go-getter and has revised her first paper and wants you to reread it. There I've got two papers now. And she wants me to compare all of the 123 sentences in her revision to the original 123 sentences. And I count them out there because, of course, that's how a typical paper can look. And there may be 10 more students who want this same procedure and 20 who talk about it. Now, I like dealing with both of these students. There's nothing that I'm saying bad about both of these students. I want to help both of them. But my point is, when I'm in the middle of the beginning of the semester, or when I'm just at the beginning, I can have to take time with each of the students, and I love doing that. But if there are many, sometimes it can be the case where I'm dealing with a lot of students who are having special needs come up right away. What about Josh? Josh, different from John, has a crisis. His mom has found his credit cards and has maxed them out on a real knockdown bender. She got drunk, she took drugs, she's in trouble. He is late on a college payment, having to scramble to find bail money for her because she got picked up on a DUI, and wonders whether he'll need a counselor. His work is late, his life is on hold. There'll be at least 10 other students with real crises. And by the way, these are all true stories. I don't know whether I should say that here or not. The names have been changed to protect the innocent. But Josh's case, I think, with the parasitical parent, is especially telling because my students have to deal with things that no one would ever dream of. Crazy things. Parents taking advantage of their kids like some vampire sucking them dry. How about Sophie, another student who's emailed me but is not getting a hold of me because she's using the wrong email address. She's using A. Collins instead of A. Colin. And I talk about that convention of the email address in another video. It has taken her 3 months to stay after class to talk with me. Irate. She first wants to know why I haven't answered her email. When she discovers her mistake, she wants to discuss why she's failing class. She doesn't like to read, she says. She's a visual learner. Whereupon I usually say, well, that's great because language and reading is visual. It's really a primarily visual task, and it must be accustomed. You must grow accustomed to doing it. You must train the eye to see the letters on the page. And I said that would be fantastic because that's exactly what I teach. Now I know the description of visual learner, and if you'd like I can talk to you about this, but there's nothing not visual about reading and writing. But she wants me to provide her with an individualized education plan. And there are a lot of Sophies in the world, we know. People who, for one reason or another, will use the shortcut to try and get out of doing the thing that the class is designed to do. This is a class designed by the state of Minnesota, but also by the needs of college educations to train people to read better and read more. And we don't get practice by this by not doing that. In the meantime, during the course of the semester, my boss requires me to go to a meeting on how to avoid getting sued in case of an ice fight. It happened. I watched it happen. The police chief came in and talked to our school about violence in the classroom, but primarily was interested in avoiding lawsuits against teachers. So then I got to attend that meeting for 3 hours. Or then a dean calls me and wants me on a committee that I have to spend the rest of the semester on, which I like, and I would like if it had some impact on the school, but again, another drag on my time. Or how about on the far left there, my boss's boss's boss, and yes, I do have a boss's boss's boss, actually I have a boss's 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 boss, who wants a 10-page report he won't be reading, but which gets stored somewhere in case we were audited, which has happened, and it happens more frequently than I care to admit. How about Jake? Jake is at one box just to the right of the last one. Jake comes to talk to me about what he thinks is dyslexia, what I think is dyslexia, because I've been watching him all semester. Now it's about October, November. He says really bright things in class, but he cannot write a sentence to save his life. And his sentences, by the way, are just marred with all sorts of errors, from punctuation to coherency to idea. It turns out that he has something called nonverbal learning disorder, which is actually a diagnosable thing. Sometimes people have heard of dyslexia, but they rarely have heard of nonverbal learning disorder. It's something between an affliction and a learning style that prevents him from learning via symbolic language. Imagine that. He's a bright kid, but will need weekly assistance for the rest of the term. Will there be others in class like Josh? Yeah, there sure are. Maybe even Sophie's a case of that who's undiagnosed. Then over on the top, Beulah has lost her Cylon. Panic. She could reset it herself, but I'm happy to help her through it after the class. She will lose it again in December, so I have to deal with it multiple times, and I don't mind doing this. I'm just telling you that if you're getting a response that's a little later than you'd like, or email back from me later than you'd prefer, or if I'm not instantly available on a chat session, you know why. This is the reason I'm dealing with this other stuff. I love my job. Just as a reminder, I love helping people. Sometimes helping people takes time. It's the expensive, time-consuming aspect of my job, and I love doing it. I think it's the best part of what I do. I think students need to see what goes on behind the scenes so that they understand. So if you're ever wondering what it is that your teachers are doing, whether they're bunking off work and going on their own benders, or fooling around or messing around with other time wasters, playing video games, whatever, it's usually not the case that I'm doing that. I'm attending to other people who need help, and we saw all those other people. Okay, and there are many more, of course. Okay. I love my job. I love helping people. With that said, here's some suggestions. Plan ahead if possible. If you know you're going to have a need, would you please let me know just as soon as you can? I have so many special cases that if they all come to me at once and it all happens around mid-semester, or if someone wants to turn in all their work in December because they had not turned it in before that, or some unusual situation that you could have planned for but didn't, please think ahead and talk to me about it. You might also think of ways to help solve your problem. Still check with me. I'm glad to help you, but if you can think through your problem, you're really solving the case for all of us. I know in my own professional life, when I didn't work in academia, and when I talked to my wife, one of the things they value most in the working world is when people help think through how to solve their problem and come up with a couple of different options that we can decide together about. So if you can think of a solution to a hospital stay, a special situation, a learning style, and then come talk to me about it, that's a great way to anticipate and help solve some of your own problems. Next, be patient, polite, and considerate. I'll address each need in order, unless it's a life or death emergency. The student who confesses that she's just been raped, which has happened to me in a paper, I need to attend to immediately and get to counseling and, frankly, get to a policeman. If you have not got an email back from me about your last paper right away, you're just going to have to be patient until I attend to the most pressing need, or the need that came before yours. You want to treat it like the line at the bakery, if people still go to the bakery, where they take a number. It can be incredibly polite when you're standing at the bakery. Yeah, I suppose it can be rude too, but usually it's very polite where I go. And people, they take a number, the baker helps them, they get their rolls assembled. Sometimes people are even polite. They say, you go ahead, you just want one roll, or I have a need to get a whole box. Sometimes they can be amazingly self-deferential. They can defer to other people's needs. I'd like people to be able to think of waiting for help from me, a little bit like standing in the bakery line, because it brings out the best in people. They know they're going to get the roll, they know they're going to get the glazed donut, but it might take a minute or two, and you have to just be patient. And that's just a great metaphor, because you can smell the wonderful bakery in the background. All right, so just a few words about etiquette to try and help us all out, and to ease how a typical semester might go. So not so that I don't have any problems or don't talk to students. I definitely want to talk to students. I want to help people. At the same time, these are some things that would smooth out and help me helping people and do it better.